I am a Berkeley graduate. Okay, and just to demonstrate how old I am, I went there in 58, I did my triple degree and finished in 63 at Berkeley. Right, so I have a electrical, materials, mechanical background, of which I did masters in 2 of those. Mainly aerospace was where I made most of my money, control systems and composite materials. Okay, and then I was silly enough to do as you did in those days. Young aspiring engineers try to be a managing director, so then you learn about money. Far more fun, seriously. Right, okay. Let's talk about Bob Beaumont, the business angel. Well, just forget about who Bob Beaumont is. What do business angels basically look for in their investees? This is an old thing. This is a very old slide, by the way. It's called top egg, okay, which is a Yankee expression, you know, for the type of guy I like to invest in or the type of gal, right, or the opportunity I like to invest in. These are this is the checklist you need, right, to get out. You've all heard of the elevator pitch? Know what an elevator pitch is? You're going to get 30 seconds to convince the boss he shouldn't fire you? No, convince the boss he should invest in you, okay? This is a real difficult thing to tick the box on. This is the ISO of an investee's attributes when, as an investor, you look at singularly or as a group, right? And to that extent, if you struggle with any of these, you're probably going to have a problem. So this is your ready reckoner, right? If you think you tick all the boxes, right, well, that's a good start. You better come and see me later, okay? But this is very, very important, right? I find most people, especially Australians, struggle, and there was a part of the slides was a good one, to articulate properly, all right? And that's why I'm going to teach you a couple of things in a minute, right? And these are the essentials, basically, that we look at. What is tradable IP? Okay. In IT, there's not a lot of patent work done, right? In some jurisdictions like the US, you have methods patents, and they are quite readily respected in that jurisdiction, but generally not in any other, right? Code, yes, you haven't got a patent for the code. You might have an algorithm if you're doing some form of process or solutions or autonomy style software, right? But you don't have a patent on it, so it's embedded, right? Is it tradable? You know, the more complex the problem in IT, and it doesn't matter whether it's hardware-based IT or whether it's enterprise-style systems, right, or process systems, the more that you are fixing a problem, right, in a smarter, better, cheaper, faster way, right, the less that you really need to have something like a patent, right, because you're keeping that recipe to yourself. Tradable patents generally means that the better entrepreneurs, technical entrepreneurs, go with their sale unless they can totally hand it over very quickly. Right? It also means that you can be very vulnerable because redundancy, right, in that process could come upon you very quickly. So is it tradable? What do I mean by tradable? Does somebody want it and they're willing to pay for it? Right? A global niche. We used to have a wonderful expression in San Diego, the first venture company I started, some groups of mine, which I won't tell you the expletives, but it was in Russian, that basically said, who says it's good and who are they? All right? Good one to remember. Who says it's good and who are they? Well, generally because I want to talk to them. That lot that says it's good. Right? I want to know why they think it's good, what it's going to do for them, right? How long it's going to do it for them. Is it sustainable? You know, is it going to be a single shot fix? Whatever. Very, very important part. Niche markets, actually the less competitors you've got, the better. So when you go into global markets, let's take last year's winner of this. Did a great presentation. Technology wasn't sorted, but he did a great presentation, right? And it was on an iPhone-style app for people that are basically deaf and dumb, where the responder, in other words us, the public, right, could quite easily read the sign and be able to communicate back. That's pretty cool, right? Hasn't quite got there yet, but you know, the passion's good, right? What's unique about that? What's unique about it is nothing. As soon as we saw the remedy to the problem, we all recognised it. So that's not niche. The solution might be niche, right? But basically we all got it. See, if you've got a technical solution to a technical problem, understanding what the problem is and who it's with is really where your advantage lies. So the less knowledge there is, the better. That's why it's difficult sometimes if you do have a very good technical piece of remedy, right, and you've only identified a very niche marketplace. And I'll give you an example. I like to invest in electrical components in the medical profession that don't require any invasion of the body. So I'll give you an example. If any of you have ever been in a hospital and had an operation or about to have an operation, they put this little thing on the end of your finger. Okay, it's called an oximeter, right? And it takes your oxygen, right? Doesn't take a prick, it doesn't take a sample. It just sends a small ray, right, through a tiny little millimetre and tells you how much oxygen is in your blood, okay? It's only one problem, it's only good to about 1 mil, right? What if I wanted to do that in your right ventricle? Because you're about to have a heart operation, okay? There's no way to do it. Non-invasively. But what if there was a way? What if I could use a split ray technology, right, and a processor to actually determine something that's, me fairly fat, large gentleman, that's 8 or 9 centimetres below your chest cavity, not 1 millimetre. Most people say that was impossible, right? I would say that that's an unfair advantage in a niche market. You understand what I mean? Okay, 99% of the audience, unless I explain it to you, you wouldn't understand basically what the problem is. So when you go to pitch what a problem is, right, and your solution, make sure you put it in layman's terms, right? Think of it though you're doing it to your 6-year-old or explaining it to your nana, right? Very, very important. Keep it simple, all right? And that's what unfair is all about, because this is my favourite phrase in investment. I spend all my time when I look at investments looking for an unfair advantage. Okay? Something that somebody can't possibly duplicate in a short period of time it's going to take me to get to market. How do you do that? Like I explained with the oximeter, if I did deep oximetry, which by the way is running, it's up at St Vincent's Hospital now, it's been running for 18 months, right, and it's about to go into 3 other offshore hospitals for trialling, and maybe 2 years from now we'll get all the codes sorted out and the biomarkers, and Uncle Bob will make a bit more money again, along with a few others. But that unfair advantage, right, is something when you test this, right, nobody can duplicate. Some algorithms sit that way. If we go back 10 years ago, people said artificial intelligence. Any of you in IT or software would know what that was 10 years ago. Then it sort of died. Now they call it autonomous software. You know, we fight wars in Iraq and Iran and Afghanistan with autonomous software, with planes that don't have pilots. Some look like games. Some planes are actually flying purely on instruction, and they make their own decisions. That's called autonomous software.